Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Awaken the World. Tonight we present, it is not mindless submission that you are here for. It is a mindful mission. Perhaps I'm a bit mindless tonight. Hello, Jennifer. Nice to see you. Well, in the ongoing saga of the cascading style sheet code for the chat renderer, I at least have the size repaired. I'm still not sure what's happening to the rest, but I'm working on it. So, nice to see you all this evening. Tonight is another one of these reminders, and we're going to talk about a few things, and then we're going to get right to it. Hello, Cindy. How are you? Nice to see you, too. Boy, it's sure nice to have our regulars show up. You guys just feel like family all the time. You really do. It's just great. And I'm glad that Cindy actually grabbed that meditation, that Om So Hum. It's a great deal, and I love listening to it. It's fantastic. Speaking of meditation, on Sunday morning, we are going to do another mantra meditation. And this one I call Tuning the Receiver Transmitter. This is going to get that energy that resides at what we would call our crown chakra a nice little boost. Clear it right up and get it right in tune. And we're going to be doing a really nice mantra, and we're going to do that on Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hope you can attend. So, and we've talked a little bit about mindless submission before. So we're going to dive right into a good comparison. And this is a great way to start with things. And keep in mind, we're not talking about judgment here. What we're talking about is whether or not you can honestly appraise where you are at. Because as soon as you accept where you're at, as soon as you recognize the underlying issues with yourself, your power can begin to come flooding back into you. Why? Because it is only through the acceptance of the existence of these issues within ourselves that we actually can become aware of them. And as soon as we're aware of them, the work is already done. They are doomed to die the more we bring them into our awareness. And that's all we have to do, is constantly bring them into our awareness and choose not to react to them. Choose not to react. To replay an old routine over and over and over again. And this is one of the steps towards reminding ourselves and getting ourselves in a better place. Hello, Devora. How are you? Or should I say Deborah Fisher? Mahalo. She must be laying on the beach still. I hope your guys' weather is nice out there. We have a nice little rainstorm going right now. Thank you so much. It's cooling everything down, making it very comfortable. Really appreciate it. So, as I said, this is really about you looking within yourself and being honest as to where you are at with yourself. And in that, we take upon the full responsibility for our being, and in that all the power begins. There is no blame here. No blame at all. It's not a contest. It's not a race. It's not a gold star awarded for who has the highest awareness today. It's just say, hey, you. I know that's what I do too. Call me whatever you want. As long as it's not late for strawberry pie. Never do that. So, signs of mindlessness. And when we say mindlessness, what we're talking about is being unconscious. Being asleep, allowing the ego to totally take us over, to get totally absorbed in it, to believe everything we're being thrown at by our head. One of the first signs of that is the concept that life is happening to you, that events happen to you, that you are the beat stick for life, if you will. And a lot of people will complain they feel much like Job, for example. I went through this with one of my acquaintances I know. He is a man, 46 years old when I met him. He was, about 4 years younger than I was, give or take. And he said to me, there's no way there could be a divine creator. I mean, look at my life. And he was complaining bitterly about his existence. Now, keep in mind, this is a guy who was living at home with his mother still, paid nothing for anything, and didn't do anything with his existence. He just watched television all day. That's really what he did, and keep his mother company. And when he said that to me, he filled the space with all these things that have happened to him, never once seeing how life was actually happening through him. I'm a nonentity. Yeah, did you say strawberry pie? Uh-oh. Jennifer's going to be over here one day knocking on her door. It'll be like 2 a.m. in the morning. Where's the pie? God help us if we don't have a piece left. So, really, this is one of the first signs that we are deeply unconscious, is that we feel that everything is happening to us. And we typically develop the mentality of, why is this happening to me? And the real question instead is, why is this happening through me? What is the expression here? What is the experience I'm to have? What is it I'm to garner from it? It's a different point of view. Another sign of mindlessness, of that sleeping consciousness, is that you will use words with others and with yourself that, this situation makes me behave in this way. This person makes me react in this way. My existence makes me bitter, for example. Or, I can't stand you when you act that way. You're making me mad. You're making me crazy. Those are fundamental lies that we tell ourselves. And they are lies in the unconsciousness that we are in that we like to believe, because we think that what it does is remove responsibility from us and put it on someone else to do something about it. But as with all things, there's a dark side to that, if you will. And that dark side is that you're handing all your power away. Because what you're really saying is that something external of you has the ability to control you, has the ability to control your mind state. And through controlling your mind state, control your feeling state as well. Yeah, exactly, Devorah. They are lies for sure, and they're lies we tell ourselves all the time, and we have to learn to recognize the lies. We really do. My life sucks is one of the predominant ones I hear these days. And yeah, I make Jennifer want that pie. Exactly. Hey, take back your power. Take responsibility for the pie. And I hear this from so many people. My life sucks. I ran into a couple of people whose basement had also flooded, and theirs flooded, from what I understood, about the same amount that ours did, and they had about the same amount of damage, and theirs was covered by insurance. And I could not believe the drama and suffering that was apparent in regards to the basement. And, Kelly and I are looking around our basement where she finished the painting today, and I've laminated the floor now, and I just have to do the baseboards and a few other things. And it's all better than it was before. It looks nicer, fresher, newer again. We changed the flooring this time. We went for something a little darker to really set the room off. There's so many reasons why this has been a wonderful experience. And it all happens through what you're choosing to perceive about your existence here. Another huge one is, I am powerless. right? The idea that you have no control. Yeah, exactly. My life sucks. That's I do that. I got to tell you, in Armstrong, they have a really cute little habit actually. Every time someone croaks in Armstrong, they print up a whole bunch of little cards, and they put the cards in all the little stores on the counters, and it says so and so passed away at 82 years today. And every time I see one of those cards, I go, wow, great, graduation, someone got to go home, mission accomplished, that's wonderful. And I put the card down. And there's only two type of people who you run into: those who hear you and don't know what to think at all, and those who actually get it and agree with you on this. And this is another one of the points that we come to with this. You know, we believe we are powerless. We believe that we are here to be knocked to and fro by the waves of life on our tiny little rowboat we would call our body. And we forget that all the power we ever needed was inherent within our being the moment we popped out of the womb. The very moment. Now, granted, we had a little trouble looking after ourselves for the first while, but the power was there. Another one of the greatest lies, and this is the lie we use to try and attempt to control others and understand what control is. It is a violation of one of the fundamental, I'm going to say privilege, although that's probably not really the right word. Okay, but one of the fundamental laws of our creation is that you have complete and total free will to do as you wish. And of course suffer the consequences of what you do. But you have the free will. When we place upon others statements like you have to do what I want in order to be happy, or we make them through our actions think that way, we really have to ask ourselves, what is the value in that? As Buddha would say, we get short-term honey, long-term bitterness. Because the person we could only fake it for so long. You see, they may give in and try to do what we want because it's easier for them. They may put on a mask. But the problem with all masks is they need to come off every once in a while. And they do. And oftentimes they come off in stressful situations. This is when we can see masks get stripped away. This is another reason why in a high-stress disaster, for example, ego gets slammed so far into the background that people naturally and compassionately and lovingly help each other without thought. Why? Because ego's too stunned. And this is a state of being that we try to impress upon others a lot of time, is that they're responsible. Ah, Jackie's here as well. Hello, Jackie. Nice to see you too. And on to the next. So all of this mindlessness. Oh, yours is tiny, hey? Yeah, I don't know. Mine's a good size. There's some real issues with the YouTube chat renderer. It's really because I've changed nothing on my end. So we will get those bugs worked out over time. So all of this mindlessness is wrapped up in the little concept of self, the idea that you are your name, that you are this, entity that you think you are. I am Garhen, for example. Garhen is a role. Garhen is an expression. But that's all it is. It is, and it serves and deserves to be honored and cared for, and to have gratitude for the state of being and who you wish to be and who you choose to be. But never confuse that what you really are is an avatar to your higher being. And the two can exist in perfect harmony without issue. They really can. Trust me on this one. It starts, though, by giving up the little concept of self, understanding that in fact there is no little self. That is part of nature. That is part of what we would term, I believe the term in the Hindu language would be, or in Sanskrit would be prakriti, I believe. This whole little concept of self is all tied up in nature. It's all tied up in the natural evolution of our being. The more the cells in our brains divided, the more we became prepared physically to handle consciousness within our being. And then one day, consciousness bloomed. Self-awareness bloomed within what we would call the human being. This self-awareness is an avatar in order that that sea of consciousness may gaze back upon itself, may love itself. Jackie says, 50 years old and I still have desire to change my name. You know what? I got to tell you something. Everyone knows I'm ex-Special Forces, okay? I have had my name changed so many times that Garhen was the name I picked when I met Kelly. I didn't even pick it. I threw some suggestions out there, and I said to Daniel, the boy child who lives with us, I said, which one do you like? And he says, I think I like Garhen. And I said, well, that works for me too. I mean, go ahead and change it. Yeah, and I used to be known as the monk. That was another name I had for a long time. The bottom line is all these names are just roles. And the unfortunate thing, of course, we know about these roles is they tie right into that ego identity, which we're going to talk about. They tie right in, and everyone around you, and this is tough, because every single sleeping ego around you will never understand when you say, well, my name that I choose today is this. And they go, well, is that who you are? And you go, no. Well, who are you? Boy, that's a long conversation. That's what I do with people. Someone will say, yeah, hey, dude, that works. Hey, dude. It doesn't really matter. The bottom line is this. You are not your name. But boy, everyone's convinced they are. I've had people get right upset with the concept that they are not who they say they are. And of course I ask them, so who were you before your mother named you or your father named you? Who were you before that? Who were you when you were still in the womb? Powerlessness in a violent world. We feel that way. This last episode with all these children being locked up in cages and separated from their mothers and their fathers ignited a lot of passion. It ignited a lot of anger, a lot of vitriol. A lot of insults and slurs were being thrown against Trump and the other politicians involved, the Republican Party down in the States. Trudeau himself for not speaking up this time. For staying the lapdog of Trump and just staying quiet on it. These are the sort of things that we go through. And there was one woman I communicated with on another group that I comment on occasionally. And she had said to me, how do I honor that higher side of myself and act out of compassion and act out of love when I am faced with this violence I see being perpetrated against children, and it makes me so mad? And I suggested to her that instead of pushing up against it, of course, that we instead focused on the positive. Remind people that these aren't Mexicans, not illegal immigrants, not the labels, but they're men, women, and children, our fellow brothers and sisters. We would not wish our child to be in a cage. How could we wish that on another? Part of ego identity is the ability to disengage oneself and disidentify from another. And we do that through labels. These labels are one of our largest and most fearsome enemies that we face in the ongoing peaceful struggle towards conscious awareness. Yeah, it's a tough one when we have these questions. And the answer is always the same. And believe me, I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying in certain circumstances that I would be able to stop myself from acting in certain ways either. But what I'm pointing out is that at no time does hate deal with hate. At no time does the placing of others in suffering stop suffering for those or any other. You know, if we look at all the normal responses we take and the outcomes of those responses, we learn quite quickly that violence serves no one and no thing, least of all ourselves. What does it mean to submit? Yeah, I know we need it tattooed. I'm getting better, Cindy. I really am. I got to tell you, there was a time when if I saw a wrong being perpetrated, I would lose it. I really would back in the day. The answer, anytime we're dealing with what we do not agree with, what we no longer wish to create within our world, we no longer wish to see, the answer is always the same. You focus on the opposite. Focus on the positive you wish to manifest. So if you see a child in a cage, do whatever you can to bring awareness to the public, to the news, to church organizations, religious organizations, spiritual organizations, the people that we put in authority and in roles in government and in offices. You do what you can out of compassion to make them aware that those are human beings. Those are people just like us. You bring their humanity and their sameness to the forefront, even while everyone else is trying to focus on the perceived differences, which are a lie. What does it mean to submit to the illusion? We all submit to this illusion every day. In various ways, we find ourselves forced. And of course, we're never forced. But when we look at the alternative, we find that we have to submit in some way to the illusion, to our societal structure. Whether it's in earning money to survive or having to hook up gas and power in order to have a home. These are all parts of the structure that we have created, and it is a power and control structure at the same time that it serves us. The difference is knowing the difference between the two. And what happens is our children especially are very prone to buying into societal views these days. Why? Because most of their lives is being taken over by screens. Most of their existence lives in the land of unconsciously dropping your egoic self below regular consciousness even, and subsuming yourself into that video screen, into that game, into that movie. We've all watched a movie. We've all bought into the script to the point that you get angry when the villain starts to win out over the hero. Or you get sad when one of the protagonists dies. We buy into this script. In the same way that we buy into that movie on the screen, we're buying in to this concept of who we think we are. We're buying into all our concepts. And you know what? There is a ton of people out there who are trying to act like they're very spiritual, but there's nothing supporting that underneath. It's a constant attempt to reaffirm with everyone, I'm there, I'm there, I'm there. And I always say, you know what? When you're truly there, you just don't care. And that's what it really comes down to. You can be whomever you wish. I don't care. And you don't have to care either. You are here to have experiences, and those experiences should be based on your highest choices, your highest designs, without blame, but with full responsibility for what comes and goes through the choices you make. And we must accept all choices lovingly. You know, we were watching more of 7 Years in Tibet today, and we are at the part where China is just starting to invade Tibet. And I gotta say, it's heart-wrenching, and it brings up anger in me to see. You know, I lived in Tibet for 3 years, and you know, there is a unique thing about the Tibetan people. It is one of only a few cultures in the entire world that the entire culture is designed around spiritual growth and the placing of ego back where it belongs and allowing the higher being to be at the forefront. And in the movie, Heinrich is showing the seamstress or tailor all his little awards and medals from the Olympics and from climbing the mountains. And she looks him straight in the eye and says, Heinrich, that's another difference between your culture and mine. In my culture, we respect and revere those who have conquered ego. And of course, it shut him right down. This is a culture of people who took to heart, seek ye first the kingdom within. They really did. Now we're going to get to a little bit of the fun stuff. Mindfulness rules. This is what it's all about. It's all about becoming mindful. And you know, I had a discussion with another group member the other night, and as I mentioned, it is okay to pretend a little bit with yourself. And you're going to ask what I mean. What do you mean to pretend? And I mean, you know, pretend. Even if you can't buy it right now, pretend that you are life itself. And imagine what that would be. Imagine what that means to you. Imagine how that would empower you. Imagine how you would view your being and your existence if you truly, truly understood that you are life itself. And then start to act from that imagination. I have power over my state of being. As we talked about, most people feel powerless. Most people feel they're blown about on the winds and the waves of life. That is not what you have available to you. You have complete power over your state of being through the consciously aware choices you make. As we talked about in the third limb of yoga, you want to watch what you're taking in. What you're taking in the mind. What's going on in the mind. And where you allow the mind to take you. My life is exactly how I think about it. I want you to really stop here with me and close your eyes, if you would, just for 1 second, and repeat with me what I just said. My life is exactly how I think about it. In mindfulness, this statement is exciting. It's exciting because you understand that there really isn't any work that you need to do. What you simply need to do is continuously remind yourself, continuously bring yourself back to mindfulness. Continuously, every moment. It is a moment to moment to moment awareness of what is going on, what is happening. You know, I'm going to relay a little funny incident to you, okay? I was outside enjoying the beginnings of the storm and the rain, and Kelly was inside and she was doing up the dishes, and the boy child was dealing with his vacuuming that he had to do tonight. And in the state of mindfulness that I am in, I instantly recognized that the situation had changed within the house. Even though I was outside, something was different. The vibration had changed. And sure enough, what it was is our boy child had decided that he, could probably get away with leaving the vacuum cleaner running and texting one of his friends. But of course, the in and out sound of the vacuum cleaner as it moved across the floor stopped. And I was immediately triggered. Both Kelly and the boy child, I don't think they really like it. There's like nothing they get away with. No matter how sneaky they try and be, I'm already on top of them. But this is part of the joy of becoming and staying mindful. You understand that so you think it, so it is. It is really, really, really that simple. So you think it, so it is. That's it. There's no big secret. There's no confusing, long-winded, difficult process to go through. Oh, surprise party, forget it. She puts something in a box and wraps it up, and I tell her what it is before I open the box. That's as simple as it is. Every time we come to this table, every time we come for discussion, I am always striving to simplify. Why? Because everything truly is simple. It is ego that complicates everything. And this is one of the simplest things I can come up with, that your life is exactly how you think about it. So if you start with, I am powerful, and then start thinking from that place. And again, I write this down. You can beam whoever you wish. I don't care. We're not talking about, I'm not caring about who you choose to be. What it is allowing you the freedom to have no opinion on your opinions, to have no opinion on someone else's opinions. To simply realize that there is no control we've ever had over what someone else's opinion or thoughts or actions will be. We may think we take control for a short period of time, but you know what? It breaks down, and it breaks down really fast, and it usually hurts when it does. The mindful mission. This is the really great part. This is a part where we can turn our eyes from all the things that we tend to do to keep ourselves small and start looking ahead to all those things we can begin to remind ourselves with, to think about and focus on, to literally change our existence. And that change can happen volcanically. It can happen like an earthquake, or it can be slow and steady. But the change will be inevitable. You chose this life. You chose the life you're in right now. And if you can keep that in the forefront of your mind every time something comes in front of you that you would judge in any way, remind yourself that you chose this and ask why you would have chose this. Instantly, you will cease to see it as an obstacle and instead see it as a puzzle. And puzzles are a lot more fun than obstacles are. They really are. Rarely does anyone trip over a puzzle. But you can beat your head up against an obstacle over and over and over again. Puzzles are more fun. When you come from this point of view that you also planned the encounters, every encounter becomes an opportunity. Every encounter becomes an opportunity to show to yourself, figure out which way the S's go, capital or otherwise, who you truly choose to be. And in this, keep in mind that you planned the encounter. There was something to receive, or there was something to give. Stay open. Don't develop preconceptions ahead of time. That's the best way to queer things completely. Stay open, wait, Watch, and it will become obvious when action is to be taken. Mindfully surrendering. You know, we submit mindlessly every day when we are asleep, when we're unconscious. We are mindlessly submitting to the illusion and to the power and control structure of our societies and to this ridiculous way of life we choose to live as human beings on this planet. Mindfully surrendering, it's a strange dichotomy. When you mindfully surrender, you no longer submit to anyone. Why? Because you recognize the inherent power within your being. This is probably one of the biggest and hardest points for people to get. You are not here for your past. You're not. It doesn't matter what's happened to you before this very minute. I don't care if you were a mass murderer right up until now. Salvation happens in a heartbeat. And it happens when you accept who and what you are in this moment and make new choices for yourself. We're not talking about the responsibility part. But you have this power. You are not your past. You are not here for your past. You are not here to keep reliving your past. Your past is a notation in a filing cabinet you can reference objectively from time to time, but only when necessary. And you are not here for your future. Does this sound familiar? Past and future. Another way of saying that is let go of guilt and let go of fear. Fear is always future-based, and guilt is always past-based. It doesn't matter what you've done up to the second, you can free yourself for eternity in this moment right now. You really can. By deeply absorbing that you are here to live now. You are here for now. And this is a moment you will never, ever, ever reclaim again. Never. And we're glad you stopped too. Say, I'm going to have to contact you in a message after I have some bodies. I don't know where to hide them. But apparently you do. Is this live? Oh, man. Okay, so this next one, we're going to go to the last slide here. And on this slide, I have written a meditative prayer, which I would love if everyone will participate in. And we will treat it like a short little meditation and just do it together, if you will. And I took, this is very minorly adapted from Chief Yellow Lark, and a beautiful, beautiful prayer that begins, and this is not what I wrote, but if you have a chance to look up Chief Yellow Lark, he wrote a beautiful prayer, and it begins, "O Great Spirit, whose voice I hear on the wind, hear me. I am small and weak." And you can check that one out for yourself. So this one I have adapted a little bit of it. We're going to go to it. And then, so I would ask that perhaps we would simply close our eyes for a minute and take a deep conscious breath. I call this the remind prayer. And I suggest that you copy it down perhaps, and once a day, maybe when you wake up, say this prayer with deep intent to your higher self, to yourself. Deliver it to you. And again, I call this the remind prayer. Great Spirit, I feel small and weak sometimes. and often I feel myself alone without your presence. Remind me always of my higher self. Show me the strength you know I possess. Teach me to see the wisdom inherent in my being. Help me to see within so that I do not go without. Grant me your eyes so I may see the beauty in all creation. Sharpen my ears to recognize the sound of your voice. Teach me through my life who I truly am. Amen. Yeah, so as I said, a mild adaptation, very mild. And I wrote that this morning, and it is my gift to everyone this evening as a prayer that you can start every day with. And you can pull this out whenever you're feeling low about yourself, whenever you're feeling small, and literally use it to remind you who you really are. And it really helps to get used to speaking to your higher self. To just go ahead and have the conversation. You know, I love being in a line by myself at a checkout counter because people think I'm crazy as I talk to myself. And quite frankly, that's fine. So again, much love to you all. I think that's where we're going to wrap it up tonight. I hope this has been an enjoyable reminder for you. I hope you will use it to examine yourself, to come to terms with where you truly are with your being. And again, no blame, no judgment, just responsibility and an honest, earnest, loving desire to move yourself into higher and higher and more rarefied states of communion with your higher being. Much love to you all. Namaste. Looking so forward to seeing you on Sunday. Take care for now. Have a wonderful night.